spoke to the department head and I was just like, listen, I can't do this for 4 years with no art, no nothing. I need something. And he was like, oh, you're pretty good. You know, you can test out of some courses and maybe you can double major in art. And that's what I did. I double majored in studio art and economics and business for the 4 years that I was there, and just continued to perfect my craft, like from sketching to painting. And my senior thesis, I did a collection of sculptures and things like that. So I found my way back in the end.
I'm saying because like it's so ironic, but at the end of the day, that's your purpose, and that's your purpose, and you just stuck with it. Because at the end of the day, our parents, our family will always have an idea of what they want you to do, but at the end of the day, it's what you're passionate about doing will always stand out and will always come seamlessly to you. So I definitely commend you for actually sticking with it, and look at you now. But Marsha, you go ahead and just post the next question, okay?
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, like, since you did not stick to the traditional career paths that your mom wanted you to do, did you find that to be stressful? Did you get enough support from your mom? How did you feel? How was that? How was it like at that time?
Well, you know, it was not easy. And so even, I'll just go back a bit. So after Lafayette, I actually started working in the industry as an assistant buyer at Lord & Taylor, because I did not go to design school. So it was hard for me to make the transition and get a design job. So I stuck with merchandising, did that, made my way to sales, production. And then I went back to FIT and got my design degree. And began working in the industry as a designer. And that is the only way that I was able to make the transition to being a designer. I needed that piece of paper. And so once I started doing it, being a designer, working full-time as a designer, and then I started working on my line at night, I don't think initially my mom took it seriously. My dad was the one always asking me why I didn't do design, or why, you know, are you sure? He would be like, Terry, you sure? Like, you really love this? Like, why are you doing this instead? And so I think we're a people, when I say we, I'm talking about Jamaican people. We're the kind of people where you need to show and prove. And we're not impressed by words. It's like, okay, well, what did you accomplish? What did you do to warrant my respect, or for me to say this is successful? And it was just one of those things with my mom. I think she had to see what I saw or what I dreamed about. And over time, obviously the line grew, and I got into some stores. And I'll never forget my presentation during New York Fashion Week back in 2016. When I made it there, and they all came to my show and really saw like the number of stores that I was in, that I was selling my brand wholesale, and the press that I was getting. I think it finally hit her, just what I had dreamed about for so many years and why I was doing it. And she's so proud now. Like, she's always telling people like, oh, you know, she's a designer and she does this, and like giving my site out. And you know, like, it's such a good feeling, because at first I think they just thought of it as a hobby. And once they started to see like all the hard work that I had,
and the growth.
And the growth, like, they just rallied behind me, and I feel like now they're like my biggest fans. I'm so thankful for them.
You know, our parents always want us to go with safe. That's why I think they go for doctor, lawyer, teacher, etc. But in the realm of skill and people using their passion to make money, as you say, you have to show and prove. You have to show them something tangible and show them how successful this can be before they buy into it. But anyways, when they buy into it and they start to see your dream as well, then they become so proud. Oh my God, that is my daughter, that is my son. They're like that. They switch. Like, in their mind, they forget that they were just bashing you for choosing a non-traditional path. So, you know, I totally understand what your mom did, and I totally understand how you felt at that time.
Well, just to piggyback on that, there has to be a balance. Like everybody can't be a lawyer, everybody can't be a doctor. So like you need fashion designers, you need chefs, you need garbage men. You know what I mean? So it's just for each and everybody or each and every person to kind of like find their passion and find what they're good at and just make it work for them.
Yeah.
But another question that's very pressing. Being a fashion designer with all that's going on currently, like how did you actually or how are you surviving as a fashion designer with what's going on currently?
Yeah, listen, the path that I've chosen is not easy. And it's not for the faint-hearted. You have to have an enormous amount of drive and resilience to survive this industry because it is very cutthroat. And it's not very welcoming to Black designers and female designers. So I carry all those things with me. And I'm not gonna lie, like there's some really, really hard days. But what I have remained steadfast is in my faith. And there is no one who's going to believe in your dream as much as you.
As much as you.
And I'm such a huge believer in that what you think you become. And even on my toughest days, I just say to myself, like, you know, it's just a season. It's not forever. And every time I think of giving up, it's like something amazing happens that just reaffirms why I need to continue believing and why I need to remain positive. So what do I do, right? The one thing is you got to have a plan. And I surround myself with a village of people who are so supportive, who keep it real with me, who rally behind me, who open doors for me. And they're always sharing things with me. My very first investor I was connected because of my professor. Also another Jamaican professor who loved me, mentored me while I was at Lafayette and made sure I was good. And he introduced me to a friend of his who later became my investor. And so this is what I'm speaking about when you nurture these relationships and you have faith and people see your passion and your drive and they believe in that and they invest in that. And so now with the pandemic, 2020 was an incredibly hard year. I'm not gonna lie. Like I almost closed my doors because I just wasn't selling anything for some months while we were quarantined here in the US, especially New York being the epicenter of the virus. And in those moments, I think my faith got me through and just doing the work. I essentially pivoted my business from selling wholesale and from doing trunk shows and pop-up shops to e-commerce. And redid my website, found a web developer and a digital marketer who helped me transform my business. So I think it was about 3 months where I didn't sell a thing. And beginning in June or July, I think it was, I started selling again. Only face masks were selling. No clothes because we went nowhere. We were stuck in the house. And when we were finally able to come out, people started buying clothing again, face masks. And despite the pandemic, I have still been able to make consistent sales each month because I do the work. It's not easy. Like, you know, my grandma always says, if you want good, you know
exactly run. And the mask, a lot of people have been making a lot of money from masks.
The mask saved me. The mask saved me because, again, we weren't going anywhere. People weren't getting dressed up. We were just in the house, and the mask saved me. So that says to me that I constantly have to reinvent myself.
Change is inevitable.
Yes.
You have to adapt to whatever is happening.
Right? There are some things that are out of your control. And the only thing you can do is manage how you respond to it, how you react to it, how you learn from it. And so I feel like I was in COVID University in 2020 because I learned so much about marketing and e-commerce and digital marketing and how to speak to my clients. And all of that I did. You have to do the work. Like, it's just not going to happen if you don't do the work. So
fall on your lap.
Right. Even if the day I get to 1 million, I'm going to be so happy about that because I know I've done the work. I know I did the work, and I know that I'm deserving of that.
You'll be rewarded. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna just ask you to just give me just one or two gems that you'd like to impart to persons who possibly want to get into a field such as yours as far as being a fashion designer, especially coming from Jamaica.
Okay.
Like persons might look at it as being unattainable being in Jamaica, but with social media, anything is possible. So what's one or two gems that you could impart on persons as such? Like what would those be?
Yes, I think it's so different when we were growing up, right, compared to how it is now. And
Exactly.
I think to myself every day, like, oh my gosh, if I had Instagram when I first started, oh, nobody could touch me right now. But I think this generation have so many tools that they can use that did not exist before, that you don't necessarily need to go to school anymore. Like there are people becoming millionaires through Instagram,
Yes.
through Facebook,
YouTube.
using these platforms, to just completely change the game. And I think it's amazing. Like wow, 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 wow. So for somebody in Jamaica, right? I think it's different now because of social media. We have access to all this information and different people around the world. So you're not just like in your bubble and
Anymore.
everything you know is just what's happening in Jamaica, or like I'm here, we're mostly obsessed with US news. Now I see what's happening everywhere in the world. And I
Social
can make
media, right?
friends. I can find out about deals. I can find out about suppliers. I can literally do a search on Instagram and find suppliers for the materials that I'm looking for. I would say the main thing is, if you are thinking about creating a line, is first perfect your craft. I think there's so many people who claim to be experts. Like I'm sure you hear this all the time. Oh, I'm a stylist, or oh, I'm a social media manager, or this. It seems like I meet like 20 stylists a day. And I'm just like, okay, so why are you styling? Who have you styled? What is it that you have
Are you
learned?
styling yourself?
Right? How are you styling yourself? So, yes. So perfecting the craft. Actually know how to make the thing.
Yes.
So how it works.
Layman term. No way I do.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, okay, maybe you're not good at sewing. Maybe you're not good at sketching, but you're going to find someone who is, and
Exactly.
you're going to educate yourself on how to use the language and how to speak about it, so that when you are talking to somebody else and trying to convince them to buy it, they see that you know what you're talking about, so that they trust what you're saying. So oftentimes I just see a lot of people just, let me try a thing, and it doesn't, they start and then it stops. Right? Why? Because you didn't invest in much in learning about it. You must do that. Absolutely. And even today, myself, my learning doesn't stop.
Exactly.
There are new fabrications that come out every year. There's new technology, there are new strategies, there are new companies. I have to be up to date. I have to be on top of it and know what's going on. So that's the first thing. Don't just try it just to be cute or because everybody's a designer right now. Like it has to be a passion. It has to be something that you want to see through. So I guess the question is, what is your why? Why are you doing this? Because people don't buy clothes. They buy you, your story, because they like you, because, like they think you're amazing, and they watch you grow over all these years and they want to see you succeed. So it's not so much like, oh my God, it's beautiful. But that's just one thing. There's so many designers. What is your why, and what makes what you are doing important or special?
That's awesome. I really like those two gems that you just shared with us. We want to tell you thank you so much. But before we go, I want you to tell us your handle on social media or your website that we can share with the audience.
Sure. So it's teresedonna.com, spelled TereseSydonna. And it's the same on Instagram at Terese Sydonna.
Okay. Thank you, Terese. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yes,
and I'm sure your story will inspire somebody from back home, from the States, from anywhere. Thank you. We wish you all the success in 2021 and beyond. Thank you so much, and have a great.
I'm looking forward to the millions.
Yes.
You.
Cha-ching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you
so much. You were lovely.
Yep.